Hey you guys, I want to talk about what I'm writing about. I am writing about these things, and I'm having to get very technical about Peter and about Satan and about um, these things because I am being put in a position where I'm having to do this. Because my son Alexander was taken based on allegations I was potentially suicidal. I have been through so much. As I explained to several of you already, that when I lived with Mr. and Mrs. Miller, I saw what I saw, and I've explained it to you. I don't need to go over that again. The flickering of the light and all of that. I cannot say 100% who specifically, because I don't have that authority to say that. But I have a strong suspicion that some of you are trying to prove that I am the false prophet, or a false prophet, or a new convert. And when I was going through all of this in Mississippi and recovering from my being unhealthy, there were some who didn't like the fact that I was recovering. And this is because there's a lot of competition. There's competition that's healthy, and there's competition that's unhealthy. And the unhealthy competition is, I want money. I want it because I need to feed my excess, whatever it is, excess food, excess travel, excess money for paying bills. And this has been brought up to my attention. It's been made abundantly clear to me by several people. And so people know that my son has been suffering in DHR. And nobody cares. People just want money. They want to work with the system that pays them the money to do whatever it is that they need to do. If I had been able to go stay with my mother when I birthed Alexander, I would have done so. But I didn't think that I would have a hard time finding a job in Mobile, because I was skilled. And then they take your kid away from you and they want you to be sharp, which you're not going to be. Because on top of suffering, you're having to document. So they know how to slow you down, and they know how to make you look like an idiot, so that they can say, look, people, this is not a leader. This is a mediocre person. And she's not who she says she is. Whatever she is, she's not. I never got on Facebook saying, oh, I'm some successful person. Look at me and my luxury. I am traveling all over the place. Look at my vacation. Look at what I'm eating. Look at this. never did I do that. So I was never portraying to be something I'm not or someone I'm not. The pictures that I've posted on Facebook from the beginning of my opening up my Facebook have been pictures of me pregnant with Alexander, living in a humble apartment, having delivered Alexander with people from church, Alexander growing and developing, and Jacob growing and developing. I was not posing in any sexual or sensual manner for anyone. And all of this is a business for some people who are in the business of buying and selling me and my son. That business is Satan, okay? And here where I'm at, I told my friend, I said, look, this is what's happening with Alexander. And I showed him pictures of his skin. And he said, well, so what? I have scars too. And I was like, look how they cut his hair last year. He's like, well, so what? I don't have hair either. And it's like, that's not the point. You can see pictures of my son before and after DHR picked him up. And you can clearly see that I was taking care of my son. And people out there are listening and they think that I'm just an idiot, that I have no leadership skills, that I'm just an idiot because of the suffering that I'm going through and the demoralization. I had posted on Facebook that my job was taking care of Alexander when I was being denied employment in Mobile. So I was working like minimum wage jobs, which was all that they were offering me. And they knew that I was overqualified for those positions, obviously, but I had no choice. Because if I had been able to stay with my mother, I would have done so. But my mother and I, it's not that we were not on speaking terms, it's just my mother was just not there for me, available. And it shouldn't be everybody's business now, but I have to say it because it's like people will let me know, look, you know, I am 47 years old. I don't need any monitoring. The whole thing was an excuse to rob me of my intellectual capital, which is not intellectual capital for me to keep. It was for me to share. But God gives us the intelligence to do something with our intelligence, right? So you mean to tell me that I don't deserve? Now, when I was 27 and I was wanting to go to culinary nutrition school, and all of this happened with Jacob for 5 years, that was to sabotage my career. And then I ended up coming to Mobile not knowing what was being prepared for me. And people are just in the buying and selling of identity and buying and selling and getting all situated. I could not have the heart to do this to someone. I couldn't have the heart to make fun of them or take advantage of them. I could not. I would not be able to do it. If I saw someone out in the street and I found out that they are the wealthiest person in the entire country, and they're out there in the street and they're not comfortable, and people are taking advantage of this person by pretending to help them, I would not have the heart to take advantage of that person for any kinds of monies. Not from the government and not from an individual, not from a company, not from anyone. My son Alexander has been in DHR and none of you have cared. None of you, because all of you have something, an agenda. Either you want to be political, or you want to be religious, or you want to just, be vindictive, or whatever it is. And I think that's very cowardly. Because it's like, well, what do you want me to do? You want me to do something illegal, right? You want me to do something that's worth of punishment. Alexander's aunt and uncle came here from Brazil to better the quality of their lives because they were not able to prosper in Brazil. They were poor, 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 poor. And when they came from Brazil, they immediately were assisted in Texas. They were given government assistance for the children, and they were informed about all that the United States has to offer. And believe in me, when these people come here to this country, they know more about American benefits than you will ever know. They know more about our government's benefits than the American people. And they will marry whomever they have to marry just to get papers, while they still have their partners that they came from their country with. They will use people for papers. I came in here as a dependent army brat. I'm not here to judge people who have done that, but I'm just letting you know that people, American people, need to be aware that this kind of stuff happens. I've never been paid by anyone for papers, nor have I ever paid anyone for papers. If this is your version of bringing in the Gentiles, you're highly mistaken. This is not it. So when the family that stayed in Texas, and the other family came to Mississippi after Hurricane Katrina. And when I met them, because I was a homeless veteran, I happened to be brought to their house, and that's how I ended up meeting them. I tidied up the house. When they smoked and threw the cigarette butts outside, I took the children out there to pick it up. I cannot stand how both American and foreigners trash this country. I can't stand it. That just goes to show you the culture that we're living in. And then on top of being a homeless veteran, having had my house that I purchased with my VA benefits, having had that taken away from me, and the custody of my son, nobody had sympathy for me. DHR was not in their business that mom and dad were not sleeping together and that the kids were sleeping with their parents. That's none of anybody's business. I was a guest, but I pulled my weight. What part of Yeshua do you not understand? Yeshua is, yes, the high priest, but he's also Judah and Josephim. So for those of you who think that, oh, because I am some kind of a Levite, that I don't deserve my own house, you're highly mistaken. So it's like when I was 27, at the my youth and my energy level, I was not wanting to be a movie star, and I don't desire to be a movie star now. But I am aware that I am histrionic or dramatic because of my ethnicity. I am aware that I can be dramatic, but I don't deserve for people to be, I don't deserve to be treated with disrespect because people doubt my being a witness and my being a messenger. And again, I'm not a hippie. I've never desired to be a hippie. No offense to people who are hippies. Everybody has the right to live their life the way they see fit. I've never been on drugs. Never have I ever done drugs. I only tried marijuana once and I got sick immediately. So it was not medicinal for me. I don't care what people do in their homes. I'm not a politician, nor am I getting paid. But if I were a politician, people would be like, oh, we like this lady. She's very liberal. She's neither too far to the left nor too far to the right. She's just right. A balanced person. I am not a politician. I despise court. And politicians are mostly lawyers. I have never had, what is it? Do you not read your books? You're preaching the word of God out there. You're making money from the church who's paying you to preach the word of God. And then I have to do this because I have all the time in the world since I'm not going to the park or taking my kid to school. I don't have an income. This is not right. As soon as I got on unemployment, which was per their request, it was like, oh yeah, let's get on, let's do it. As soon as I got on it, it's like, well, what do you need to do to get your kid back? It's like, you know, when I lived with Mr. and Mrs. Miller, I should have had my son given back to me. And these caseworkers lie in court. The judge knows, because for every parent who doesn't get money for their own children or being able to get money for filing taxes and having a your child, whatever that is called, your tax break, the state gets to keep that money. This is how these people make bonuses. So they want people like me to shut up. And then people who are advocating for these parents, it's like, you know, some of them are legitimate people who will go all the way to Washington, D.C. and go out there and speak to the senators and congresspeople and all of that. But why can a simple mom like me do that? Why can't I just come and talk to a senator or a congressman? Because I'm not important? Yet, for speaking up, I've had my son not return to me, so they say. What is it that they want me to cooperate with? So is DHR looking after the children? Because if they are looking after the children, they should be glad that I'm speaking up. Because I'm speaking up for the children who don't have a voice in court. If DHR is genuinely looking after human services and the family unit, then they should be glad that I'm speaking up, because I'm speaking up for parents who don't have a voice in court. But I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a politician, and I'm not a preacher, so nobody's paying me diddly squat. So I'm a loser. Okay, folks, where are we going here? Here I am highlighting for you that we've been lifted up like Moses lifted up the snake in the wilderness. Here I am highlighting for you that we've already been lifted up, because when I was being lifted, I looked down at Mother Earth and I said, I can't leave my children behind in that world. And I asked my Father God if I could bring Mother Earth with me, and he left it up to me. So I grabbed Mother Earth and we were lifted together. We went through levels of height and depth, from dark to light, from slow and dense to light and fast, until we were there in the light, and we went into the womb of His heart after we were forgiven. I saw my Father's eyes and mouth scintillating before me when I lived with Mr. and Mrs. Miller. So I'm not getting paid because I'm Jesus? It's ridiculous. I am living here on earth, or do you want the economy to shut down? Because we are individual parts of the whole body of Christ. Because if you believe in Jesus, if you say you believe in Jesus, then you should know that you are part of the body of Christ, and that you were already crucified with Christ, and you already were resurrected with Christ, like Paul says. If you are a believer in Jesus, so you say, then you should know that we are parts of the body of Christ. It's not, I'm not going to be like unemployed for everybody to be making fun of me. It's not fair to my son Alexander being in DHR and in daycare after school and being all scarred up. Every time I see him, he has a new scar. This is not right. I don't care if somebody else is all scarred up, and I don't care if somebody else has no hair. You know, they're a full-grown adult. I'm talking about my growing child who is purposely being exposed to this. Purposely. And I'm not a new convert. I was born my Father's daughter. I have been a witness since I was a child before my 10th birthday. I have been a messenger since a long time ago when my song came to me on Dove Lane. I'm not a new convert, okay? So if anybody is out there on this mission to prove me wrong, like, look, she's a biblical whore, she sleeps around with these men, it's like, no. I'm going to tell you folks how you're going to stop doing this. You're going to stop utilizing church money that could be very well be used to genuinely help the poor in your community instead of exploiting women and children for your whoredom, for you to be watching porn disguised as being witnesses of whoredom, which you are creating. You're orchestrating this whoredom, and you're paying for it. So you can sit back and watch the show and then say, oh, look, this is no angel. This is no godly person. This is a biblical whore. It's like, look, I'm not gonna be a hypocrite. I am female and I'm a sexual being just like anybody else. This does not make me a whore or a dog. So whatever video game that's being played out there, whatever game, because this is a war game, this is a psychological warfare, and believe in me. And war, no matter if it's physical or psychological, it is expensive. It is an expensive game. Unfortunately, not all players want to play a game. And I certainly don't want to be in your game. Because I have come here to rewrite over your writing. And I'm not a new convert. I was born. I am my Father's daughter, just the way He made me. And I'm not a hypocrite going, oh Lord, hallelujah. And then what? Holding back and being miserable? No. I am a female, and this is my body. It is my body. I cut my hair. I color my hair once in a blue moon. I paint my nails. I grow my nails. I cut my nails. I do whatever I want with my fingernails. It is my body. Mine. But I am not going to be advocating for boys and girls who are still in human growth and development to be changing their sex because they feel that they're the wrong sex. That is criminal, and you know it. That is not science, and it is politics. Dirty politics and dirty science. Dirty psychology. And I have come here to highlight it for you. If we must, I will. I am Messenger E4, and I am not playing, and I am not bluffing. So, remember Peter, Paul. Okay? Thank you.